Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Hey friends, and welcome back to another episode of Genuine Business Stories, where we have real front porch chats that inspire success. Today's guest has one of those stories that embodies what this show is all about. Starting from the ground floor, learning every part of the business, and eventually turning it knowledge into something entirely new. We're talking about Stephen Ferguson, one of the founders and presidents of Bedhead Marketing, a creative agency serving the sleep and bedding industry. Stephen's career path runs deep in the world of retail sales and leadership. For his early years with Mattress Firm and Beds Express, to owning franchises and leading merchandising operations across the country, now he's taken decades of experience and built an agency that helps others in the industry through marketing, brand design, and sales training. From retail floor to founder, this is a masterclass in reinvention, grit, and leadership. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into Stephen's journey, a story about evolving with your industry, staying true with your expertise, and building a business that fits your passion. Now, with Stephen, this is a podcast episode that before this ever launched, I have really been looking forward to. This is one of those, put it on your calendar when we can get it done. For those of you out there, Stephen is very successful. He is my cousin, but he is more like a brother. A younger brother that's just a lot more successful and better looking than I am, but
I was going to make sure you said that.
It is a lot of pride that I have in seeing how his business has exploded and the success he's had. Welcome, Stephen. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, cuz, and back at you, man. Proud to be on your show. This is really cool.
So let's start at the beginning. I want to know a little bit about yourself. And did you have early signs of entrepreneurship as a kid? Maybe lemonade stands, mowing lawns, maybe selling something door to door?
Well, I definitely had a start in sales early on when I had to sell teachers on letting me play football this weekend, so I didn't have to have the coach come down to put them in their place for failing me. So that's where my sales career started. Yeah, man, I was pushing lawnmowers at 7 years old. I had to make some money. Wasn't much of an entrepreneurial attitude at 7 as much as it was, we got to pay some bills around here, and that's what I did as a young age. But entrepreneurialism started probably thinking for me. You remember whenever I was 4 or 5 years old, you'd ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And my answer was always, "Well, I'm already an artist." So I was loving to draw and paint and sell my stuff whenever I was a kid, and I think that's probably where that mindset started for me. It was a creative mindset,
Well, I think some of our early entrepreneurship was our Mima. She'd buy our painted rocks or whatever we would create, and that kind of, you don't realize it as a young kid what that inspires you as to how to go out and earn money on your own.
Well, there's nothing like being a kid going in her ceramic shop, and just she let you paint on anything, and then you'd see her go and sell those things, and great grandma, doing all the quilting and selling those down at the church and stuff. So I think that was definitely in the family spirit for sure as children for both of us.
Yeah, it was. So, hey, what was your first job with a boss and a paycheck?
That's a weird question. I don't think I've ever had a boss, Clint. When I was 15, I was hired by a construction company to do demolition. At that time, my big self wanted to go destroy things, so I was allowed to destroy facilities to prepare for some new creation that was being put into retail. So getting to demolish stuff was fun at 15 and a lot of labor. Got a good check out of it.
And if I remember right, I think you worked for Outback for a little bit because you are absolutely an amazing chef now.
Yeah, I wouldn't give all the credit to Outback. I give a little bit to that credit to my mama.
Yeah, your mama was one heck of a cook.
Yeah, she judges everything I give her to eat. But Olive Garden and Outback really gave me a chance. I had a scholarship, but didn't have the money to get to school, and I just had to start working. And waiting tables was an easy thing to do. And it's really interesting about service industry is I think the service industry that I learned at Outback and Olive Garden has inspired my entire career. A chance to give to others, work for them instead of myself. gave me a platform to present, show, do things special for people, and they pay you money for your performance and a tip, which turned into a business strategy for me. Whenever I was working at Outback, everybody gets 3 tables, and the bar was an open bar on Sundays, and there was 10 tables around it, and it was just open seating. So I asked if I could have the bar shift on Sunday because nobody came in to drink on Sunday. And next thing you know, I'm going and recruiting people to come sit in my bar area, and I've got 10 tables and a full bar wrapped with customers, and I'm making $400 or $500 in a day, which would have taken me a week to do otherwise. And I had people just in a line waiting to sit in my section because I took care of people. I made friends with my customers, and that was probably my first realization that I had something special to do, and it all came to service. And everything I've done past that point was about serving customers, making them feel special, do something for them, treat them the way they didn't expect to be treated, be super unique for them. And
quite the education in how to work in customer service. Because if the chef makes a mistake, then it's your tip that's on the line.
Well, it is, but if you know how to handle that right, you could probably make more money. Turn a bad thing into a great thing, and you end up getting taken care of. But yeah, service industry is really everything to me, and to this point as well, owning my own company.
So before launching Bedhead Marketing, you had an impressive career in the mattress and retail world. Walk us through your early path. How did you even get into sales in the bedding industry?
Yeah, impressive mattress industry, Clint. That sounds funny to hear said on air. Most people think of a mattress person as a weirdo, and I've defined that term mattress weirdo in our industry because who sells mattresses? Nothing but weirdos, right? But the reality is that industry is extremely special. It has brought me many blessings, and I've gotten to travel the world, develop product, and work with all kinds of special people. I met my bride at Mattress Firm. It's a really interesting organization that has blown up, gotten big. They're owned by Somni Group now, which also owns Tempur-Pedic, multi-billion-dollar organization. And remembering it when I started with just a couple of hundred stores, and when I was there early on in my career in 2002, they started in '86 to be very exact, right here in Houston, Texas, by the way. To see them grow to where they are today, 2,500 stores and manufacturing facilities all over the world. It's such a crazy dynamic how big that whole industry really is. I say that it's actually a pretty small industry overall, but it is big whenever you see where it started from. Because it came out of the furniture industry, like there were some mattresses in the back in the 80s. They're all stacked up in plastic. And now you've got people spending crazy dollars on mattresses, So yeah, my career started there in 2002, just selling. I had no idea, that I was going to sell mattresses, but I got recruited by a former person from Outback. And when I went over, it was like, hey man, you're really good at sales at Outback. I'd set a record. I'd sold $2,000 worth of food in one night in the year 2000. They made a custom pin for me, set a record at Outback. And they're like,
Never
you're going to
knew
sell.
That. That's cool.
You're going to sell a lot of mattresses. And I was like, okay, number one, I'm not a salesman. I hated the word salesman. So I was like, don't call me a salesman. I'm a serviceman. I'm here to serve my customer. And when I joined the company, the average tenure, employee was in their late 30s at that time, which was old to me because I was 22 years old. Now I'm sitting here at 45 going, I wish I was 36, 37. But back when I was 22, I was just this young kid who wanted to serve the customer. And that first year on the floor, I was the number one salesperson in the company. And I set record after record after record on the floor, and I enjoyed it, every moment of it, before I decided it's time for me to move up into something a little bigger than just selling.
That's a perspective I had never thought about, is with what you did at the restaurants, it really is sales. It's upselling.
It was.
The specials, the desserts, the drinks.
It's appetizers, it's add-ons, and back then Outback Steakhouse was the largest, really restaurant chain in the world, selling more steaks than only people that sell more steaks than them, I believe, is what is it? What's the breakfast chain across the country? Waffle House. That's the one I'm thinking of. They sell more steaks than anybody. But besides that, it was Outback back then, prime steaks, but it wasn't just selling a steak. It was upgrading the steak. It was adding on a lobster tail, getting some mushrooms on the side, like give a full plate of food to that guy, and we had little Sheilas and big blokes for drinks. You didn't sell the guy a Sheila. Like, sir, do you want the Sheila or do you want the big bloke? Those were training things that we were taught to do to get the people to spend more money and order more drinks. It wasn't, do you want one? It's which appetizer do you want? that assumption selling. I learned all of that in a restaurant. And by the time I
pleasing-
got to a mattress store, I was slaying it.
Pleasing your customer. I was listening to a podcast where they were interviewing Tillman Fertitta.
I've heard of him.
And one of the things he was saying is, we don't tell our customers no, because he has turned a restaurant business, which, as we all know, is a very, very high fail rate,
right.
not success. And he's turned it into billion dollar company. Absolutely amazing. But one of the main things he was discussing was, there's a steakhouse where you only ordered it, and it was here in the Houston area, and it was medium rare. You didn't ask for anything else, and Tillman went, no, we give the customer what the customer wants. That translates into most businesses where your customer service facing.
You take care of your customer. You have to educate your customer. Your customer's not always right. And at the end of the day, you have to educate them, but give them a choice. Give them options. Let them make a decision through education. If you're just going to go in and tell them what to do, you're not going to have referral business, right? You're not going to grow your business. If you just do as they say, then you're just an order taker, and you're not really in sales or service. It's your job to give them knowledge and help them make an educated decision and not just feel pressure.
Yeah. Was there a moment where you realized when you started selling mattresses that this wasn't just a sales job, and all of a sudden the light went off and you went, this is a career?
I tried to leave the mattress industry 3 times, Clint, so I argued with myself on that statement. Even though I knew it was a career, I thought I had bigger and better things, and I kept trying to leave and then kept coming back to it. And what I found in the mattress industry, different than being in the mortgage industry, being in the furniture side, other things that I had tried. I was in M&A for a while, which I enjoyed, but was difficult in acquiring organizations. What I love about the mattress industry and all these people out there, I know it's, again, the mattress industry weird. Why are there so many stores? The conspiracy theories. The reality is, in the mattress industry, I don't have to have 300 customers come through my door for the day and deal with the stress and chaos and thinking of the restaurant industry and worrying about all the food on the shelf that's going to spoil and expire. I could have a mattress, buy a product and have it made within a week and have it available for my customer right here in the USA. I don't have to wait for stuff to come in. It doesn't go bad. It doesn't spoil. So the art of doing that in managing the business is so much easier. But the hard part of the mattress industry is what I found that I had the most skills in. And it's the ability to find a customer's needs, which they don't always know what their real problems are, but they come in, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, I'm tossing and turning, my husband snores, keep me up at night. And the ability to listen to them and then find creative solutions with not just what you sleep on, but how you sleep on it. I literally changed the entire mattress industry with that concept of teaching people a whole new way to sleep. Today, most people walk in the store and they get a mattress that moves up and down. And that's because of what I did in 2004. I realized by changing the way people sleep and elevating their head, they could breathe better. I could take pressure off their shoulder and back. I could help them with circulation and restless leg syndrome. All these medical problems. Technically, without a medical degree, I could help them with how they sleep at night. A third of their life laying on a mattress actually improves their entire lifespan. It's not just helping them get a good night's sleep tonight. It's about making them live a better and healthier, longer life through sleep and wellness. And Clint, you work out, you hit the gym. You've always been my big swole cousin. But if you don't recover,
the gym's been hitting me lately.
Well, he hit you in the gut. But the reality is, if you want to work out, all you want. And I've worked with major athletes. I worked with the Astros when they went to the World Series in 2005. I worked with all of them, helping them get a good night's sleep. It started with Lance Berkman. So,
wasn't that our first World Series?
That was our first World Series because I helped them sleep better. I always take credit for that.
I think you did all this because when you were started your career, you decided to become a sleep expert and not just sell mattresses.
That's right.
And if my memory's right, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you've even written a couple of articles on sleep because of your expertise.
Yeah, I've had a lot of articles written and been interviewed a lot, Clint, in that industry specifically. I don't do a lot of podcasts like this outside our industry because, again, the mattress industry is not always respected, but inside the industry, I've been a part of a lot of special stuff regarding sleep, wellness, sleep posture. In that adjustable base industry, part of the industry changed whenever I did some really big things for the industry. And now it's not just what you sleep on, but how you sleep on it. That thought allowed me to educate people in a whole new way where people were referring to me. And I mean, every day somebody walked through the door and asked me by name, and I had no idea who they were because of the referrals that I was getting. And then my business just started flooding. I was writing over $1 million a year in just mattresses, back in 2002, 2003, like really early on. And since then, I started training multiple people and developing others. And there's multiple people today that do $3 and $4 million a year in mattress sales, all because of those skills that were developed back then and that knowledge that's been shared. So, yeah, it's a very interesting place to get your. I didn't grow up one day and say, I want to sell mattresses. It just happened, and I've tried to leave Clint, and I can't. I just keep coming back. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to start my own company in this industry and take my knowledge and offer it to everybody, and that's what started Bedhead.
So I think it's so hard for you to leave the mattress industry that even now, I believe you recently became engaged to an incredibly successful person.
Yep.
That she's beautiful, she's intelligent, and she is in the mattress industry and highly successful.
She's a mattress Meg, and I'm Bedhead Ferg. One day she'll be Bedhead Meg. I don't know when we get married, but it's the joke everybody in the industry talks about. I asked her, I said, we're getting married. This bill's getting stacked. Do you mind if I get some sponsors from the mattress industry? Because I think I could get this whole thing paid for and maybe even make some money on it. And she said yes, and then she said no. So we just got to pay for it now.
So, without your career, who has influenced you the most?
Outside of my career, early on, you talked about Meemaw, and we brought up Grandma. Those old ladies in my life early on taught me a lot. I think Meemaw said something to me whenever I was a kid, and I was thinking about this on the way over here.
What, you're my favorite once you displaced me from that role?
Besides that, she, when I was playing baseball, and I think, this may have something to do with you, but when I was playing baseball, she, I'd always just brag, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And I think I might have had a little bit of cockiness in me at a young age, hitting those home runs and bragging. But she told me one day, she goes, Steven, you're not going to be the best baseball player. There's a better baseball player out there than you. And I'm like, who? Introduce me to this person, Meemaw.
She says you already know him.
Yeah, it's your cousin Clint. But then she told me that, and then she told me the same thing whenever I was, doing art. You're not the best artist. There's a better artist than you out there. And then she told me, she goes, you're never going to be the best at anything. Stop trying to be the best at something and be great at everything. And that, really rung a bell to me as I got older in life that, I'm not the best salesman. I'm not the best artist. I'm not the best at anything, but I am super diverse. And it's probably the one thing that I'm most noted for in the mattress industry is my ability to communicate in different languages. And I'm not talking Spanish and French and English here. I'm talking about I speak merchandising, I speak marketing, I speak logistics, I speak consumer language, I speak, salesperson language. And I speak all these different languages, allows me to translate. And it's why I got into the corporate life at Mattress Firm for the longest time that I did, is because I could work between every department and direct people in their language versus dropping off something. This is good for all industries, right? Understanding there's different type languages. I tell you this all the time too with you. You get into your insurance language. I don't always understand it, so I have to ask deeper questions to make sure that I know what some of those acronyms are and things that you're speaking to. But when you learn those languages and you can be a translator of that and remember your customer's language always, and you got to talk stupid to them, right? They don't know our language. You got to speak their language.
That's a key statement that I think a lot of us forget when I get to talking. Even though I try to teach how your coverages work, my customers, I tend to forget, and all of a sudden you're throwing out acronyms that are between you and your other agency owners that you speak or your underwriters, and you forget. I think experts in all industries tend to do that, and
that's right.
And you're right, where we got to pull it back so that we make our customers feel involved, so that they can grow in it.
So I think with Meemaw telling me that I'm not going to be the best at anything and try to be great at everything has led me to where I could be an entrepreneur, start a company, and I'm not the best on my team at anything, but I'm good at everything, and I can help them find their path to their success with all my creatives that work for me. And I've got such a talented team, but I can work with all of them on any subject matter. And some people that I've worked with or have worked for me kind of have their own swim lanes. And that's where they're really good at. They don't really understand the other part of it. But I'm like, put me in any room with anybody, and I'm going to rise up or rise down to the level of the human that's in the room, and I'm going to learn and speak their language so that I fit in the room. And I think that's what actually made me the greatest salesperson, is my ability to mirror the human that I meet and be on the same level with them. And that means going up and down.
Yeah. It's a while back, somebody made a statement to me, and there's a lot of truth to this. If I walk in the room and I'm the smartest person in that room, I am in the wrong room.
Move rooms.
And what that means is, if you're in that room and you're the smartest person, there's nothing you can learn in that room. So you need to move to constantly be with people more successful and smarter than you, so that you can continue to grow and learn from that.
It is one of the hardest things to realize and learn. And it's not that you're being arrogant, like I'm the smartest person in this room, but it's just understanding that if you're not being challenged, right? If you're not surrounding yourself with people you want to be like, then you need to find a new room. And it's not always a room. I think it's a good analogy, but it's also in your friendships, right? It's your relationships, the people you're around. Like, do you hang out with the same people you grew up with? If they don't evolve at the same level than you do, then sometimes you have to question how much time you spend with them, even though you may love them, but are they the people you need to surround yourself with to move forward? Maybe even friendships that are affecting your relationship with your spouse, right? And how they act, like, are they the right people you want to be around? As a Christian, you think about those things too, right? You surround yourself with people that are Christ-like. You don't want to just be
unequally yoked.
That's right. With your friendships, it's not just in your marriage that statement makes sense. It's everything, even in your business partners, picking your business partners,
Dad always told me growing up, one bad apple will spoil a whole bushel.
Heck yeah,
And his
they do.
point that he wanted me to understand was, it's not that you shun people that aren't doing what you're doing, but if somebody doesn't have their shit together,
that's a good way to say it,
then you are probably going to go down to their level.
That's
and
right.
They're going to get you in trouble, or their lifestyle is not going to be conducive for success because of where they're at. It doesn't make you better than that person, but Dad's point was, it is rare that you're going to bring somebody up to your level that doesn't have a desire to come up to your, and
That's right.
Not that your level's better, but with where your projections are for where you want to go in life.
I love that. And, Clint, sometimes we have to, I don't want to say shun, but you do have to walk away from some relationships. And this is in business, this is in just personal relationships, all the way around. But most of the time you can still keep a connection, because you never know when something may come back around where you're needed, or you can be there for someone, or you may get a referral in business that you didn't expect. You never know. So you don't want to burn bridges. But I'll also say this from Brent Batterman on my team. He's a guru teacher. He travels the country educating salespeople, doing all kinds of activities with, like, he's worked with the military, and he's worked with multiple executive teams to help do team building activities and uncover leadership capabilities that are needed in the team. And it's really a culture thing, but he always talks about mentorship, finding a mentor in your life. You may go into the office every day, and not have someone in there that's truly directly mentoring you, but you may see someone that you do want mentorship from. Ask them to mentor you. It's a very respectful question. They may not even be in your organization. You can do this with family, right? Your pops is a mentor to a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be family either. Find someone that you just respect that can help you be like you want to be. This could be in your walk with Christ. It could be as a father. I've mentored a lot of dads who've been through divorce, me raising my kids. Like, it's a big deal. So I get a lot of phone calls, and I get people ask me, help me with these particular things. And I love to do that. Men need to coach men too. That's a whole other subject there, but men need that. And the confidence to ask someone, will you mentor me, is a bold question that you should be able to ask and willing to ask from someone. You should always have a mentor, all of us.
Along with a mentor, I believe we all need trusted advisors. I call you a lot if I'm looking at doing something in business. I've got several people. I've told my friends my whole life, and even in business, I tell business associates, don't you dare tell me what you think I want to hear. Yeah. I can make a dummy and an idiot out of myself all by myself. I don't need your help. I need your honest advice. Doesn't mean I'm always going to do what you suggest, but I'm sure wanting it so I can take into account, and it may alter the direction I was going, not completely to your direction, but there are flaws in my thinking there. And I think that is very important. And I find too often in life, and I see this more with our youngest generation, quit being a know-it-all.
Yeah.
And especially if you're around somebody older, then absorb their wisdom so you can become better.
Love it.
And quit telling them, oh, I know. If you're somebody that goes in and you get another job and you get hired somewhere, that boss or your trainer does not need to hear, I know it. Close your mouth. You may know it, absorb it, and then when they're finished training you, you'll look all the better because you've already knew enough, and then they added to it, and then you can really excel.
That's right.
I think too many people fail to realize that in business. I think that I told you I'd listened to a podcast about Tillman Fertitta, and I think he wrote a book that was Shut Up and Listen. And that's basically what I
book
believe.
About marriage, or was that about business?
I think it was about life, even though it's, shut up and say yes, dear.
Well, I have to read that one and make sure it's in the right context. But Clint, you say all that, and I think it's powerful to look at data, is what you're talking about, just thinking of business in this business conversation. Often we get stuck on one data point that we make big decisions on, and that can be like being stuck in your own head about a decision you're going to make and not seeking counsel from others like you're describing. When you pick up the phone, you call me, you call your Uncle Scott, you've got your list of people. You're looking for multiple data points so that you can find a balanced decision and not just be anchored into one point that and then it's right or wrong. It's hit or miss. It's 50-50 odds there, or maybe worse, and you don't even know it because you didn't think about different things. So seeking data, seeking counsel to find multiple points on a scale is a metric that you would use if you were investing millions into your business, right? It's anything. So seeking counsel is powerful for just data collection and finding balance. It's my favorite word in my 40s is balance. It's the most understood word before I was 40. I said it all the time like I knew what it meant, but I didn't. Balance is a very key word in all those things, and seeking counsel is helping you find balance.
Yeah, every big company starts small, but the difference between dreaming and doing is often a one bold decision. I'm going to take that to lead into Bedhead marketing. When you made the decision to partner with one of your good friends, and as I have watched the two of you, we all in our relationships can have challenges, but you and Brandon probably offset each other better than any other set of business partners I've seen, where with your skill sets, and you're both good at everything, but he's strong in certain things and you are strong in other things, and you guys really do a good job. I think that's a testament as to how your company has grown so quick is where it is. So when you started this business, did you ever have any dream that your first year would do what it did?
Well, no. But when I look back, it makes sense. Brandon and I's, our first outing was in Vegas in 2002 in January 28th, and we batted 1,000 that day, Clint. I've never batted 1,000 in anything that I've done, but we batted 1,000 that day, and it was just taking him around and introducing him to customers that I had worked with for years. And when I went to that market, Clint, I literally was thinking, I'm going to a place where I used to be the $1 billion buyer. When you're the $1 billion buyer, you're prom queen at that point. Everybody wants to buy you dinner, they want to take you out, and everybody wants to, sell you a bed. So I was treated as such. But when I went in now trying to sell people, show them something that they used to sell me, I was like, man, am I about to find out what they really think of me? Am I about to get a whole awakening to what names they would have called me, kicking me out of their booths and stuff? And the reality was, no, we always liked you. We liked how direct you were. We liked how honest you were, because I was a very direct buyer, right? I told people absolutely not. I told them when their stuff was a piece of crap. I was very clear with them. I told them they couldn't, keep up with my demand, move on. But they appreciated it, and I didn't know that. And that day when I took Brandon in, man, it was like, okay, now I see the future. Like, I've got to rethink this, because that was a side project, Clint. That was a side project that I thought Bedhead may be something that we could do. Brandon literally made the logo, the brand, the website in less than a week, because you know how Brandon, and he's psycho, man. He's like got hyperfixation, ADHD, and he's like, oh, I got an idea. And he's like, I don't know if I can do it. And then 2 days later, he's built an entire brand system, website, service center. Like, it's insane.
Well, he'd been after you for a while to do some type of business together.
He He was like the girl that just kept asking me out, and I had to say no over. And you know what that's like, Clint. Brandon chased me no different than he did Tracy, his beautiful wife, and finally he closed the deal. And I say that jokingly, but I'm going to say this for a moment. I think, business in general, Clint, having a business partner, which, you're on your own and you're doing great. And, sometimes as a being in a business, sometimes you want a partner, sometimes you don't. Sometimes I want to just make the decision on my own.
You know, I took on a new partner here recently, don't you? It's called ChatGPT.
It's Chad. That's my buddy Chad. So I say that because sometimes I just want to make a decision and move forward, but having checks and balances with someone, it is no different than a marriage. And I mean, it's identically the same as a marriage. And picking a business partner, if you're in that world and you're looking to have a business partner, just because they're good at something that you can't do doesn't always mean it's right. Opposites attract, but doesn't mean they're always a good business partner. And just like in marriage, you want someone with you that you get along, you have fun, you can be honest with each other. There's things you can do, and there's also things that they're better at than you are, as you described with Brandon and I. Brandon and I are the same in so many ways and dramatically different in so many ways. So we really do create balance and momentum. You can create balance without momentum. You're not going anywhere. You're
both hyper-focused. But you're like me. You're hyper-focused, and your mind comes out, it analyzes, it comes back, and it starts looking, what can I overcome while you continue to move forward? Your business partner is hyper-focused.
Yeah, triple.
And every
hyper.
little detail that you might overlook moving forward in your business,
yep,
his mind picks up on.
His mind is like, find stuff that nobody would have ever thought of. And then sometimes you have to say, Brandon, bring it back, bro. Like, you just went 20 years in the future. We can't sell that yet, because he tends to make the most epic stuff you've ever seen, from like all these animations and interactive tools. And he's a marketing genius, and we've got multiple companies. We get stuck with Bedhead. But, Brandon, we've got Because Marketing, Bedhead Marketing. We've got Bedhead Education, Bed Dev. We've got multiple LLCs that we all work under. And Brandon just works in all of them with super creativity, getting him to find reality in what he can do, and then focus with what I know the customer needs right now. Like, I speak their language, and he and I can work back and forth to do anything for anybody extremely fast. It comes down to quality, it comes down to accuracy, and it comes down to speed in everything that we do. And we're better at all three than anybody you'll meet, and that's what made us so special. And we typically know more about our customer's business than the customer does themselves. And they love that. That's why they hire us. That's why we're the no-brainer to hire, because we can literally sell their business better than they can when it comes to branding and marketing and training.
Yeah, you're more than just a marketing company. You are a company that goes in and helps to train, helps to coach.
Well, our number 2 SKU is consulting. People just pay us for our thoughts. We're the extra heads in the room. We're Bedhead. You want us in the room because we speak the industry. We understand that. And we don't just work in the mattress industry, but that's our focus because of our background and expertise from my skills and the people that I recruited. But when we walk in the room, we know the product. We know the customer. We know the salesperson. We understand the store environment. We understand the consumer journey online. We understand social media. We understand everything. And we typically can get people to an answer faster than they could, because most of the people that hire us, they're manufacturers. They don't understand the other side of it, right? Yeah. And the retailers that hire us, it's because they just need help. They're growing and they need backup help, and we can walk in and put fuel on their fire. So it's all about knowledge and ability to execute. You got to have the technical skills, but you also have to have those soft skills and the understanding of what goes on in that world.
Well, Brandon will be a future guest, and it'll be interesting for those that listen to our show to play this show and play his. Same business, but to see the contrast in two different ways of looking at the business.
Well, I'll brag about him and he'll brag about me. That's also one of our favorite things to do in sales is I'll
brag about both of you.
There you go.
You both are phone calls I can make to discuss things with.
Well, we love to talk.
Don't most of us in sales. Challenges, they're the tuition of entrepreneurship. They can cost us time and money, but the lessons last a lifetime. I say that as I ask you. You guys were very successful pretty quick.
Yeah.
Are there any challenges that you found that first year that you didn't expect?
First year, no, it wasn't. It wasn't any challenges the first year. The second year, and first year was 100% blessings. It was completely caught off guard. It allowed me to go full time into Bedhead. I mean, it was insane the jump that I made, and we saw the tripling of the business in that September. So from January to September, Brandon was doing it on the side. I was doing it on the side. We had another guy, Ray, helping us out. And then by September, I jumped in full feet. Brandon spent most of his time now on Bedhead. Ray, moved over 50-50 between him and Because Marketing. And we just started leaning into it, and the company blew up. The second year, it's like, we need help. That's where it came down to. It's like, we made a brand. And just to be real clear to everybody listening, like, we made a marketing company that specifically served one small industry. It was stupid and genius, right? Like, we found a niche, and we knew what our brand was, that we were mattress industry people. So we had marketing skills. We have all the marketing skills to help any company, and we do that through Because Marketing. But we decided to make this brand of Bedhead. Like, let's go do this and just focus on one industry and see what happens. And we couldn't get our phone to stop ringing. We couldn't get, we couldn't keep up with the demand. So we had to find help. But our brand was, we are industry experts. So I couldn't just hire anybody. I tried to hire people and teach them bedding. It's like, I'd rather shoot myself in the foot, man. Like, it was literally like, I couldn't teach people the mattress industry, not quick enough. I've got 23 years of extreme success at scale around the world. It's not something I can just, here's what you do and why. It's not that simple. So we had to recruit people from our industry to join us. So that was the hardest phase. And then this year has been the biggest challenge, because now we're truly way past startup and trying to create a structure for our organization with the people we've recruited, and the team is just insanely talented. But we also didn't take time to build in the structure, right? It's just orders coming in. So this year has been all about setting the structure and processes and procedures. And I've got an IT guy who went to Johns Hopkins, getting his master's degree in internet securities. He worked for the government. He's like a super IT freak. And he's bringing all of these things together, and communications and everything is just, it's building a foundation that's sellable.
Your business plan is having to evolve quickly.
But structure, Clint, like, sometimes you grow so fast, which is good, but if you build a structure first, but you don't have a path to sales, then it doesn't matter. So you waste all this money on infrastructure, but you never got anywhere. We got the sales going and built, as my old boss, Dave Brummett, used to say, it's like, we're fixing the bike on the way down the mountain. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally, it's broken, we're fixing it, or we're building, a path while we're also flying down the mountain. So yeah. That's where we are today.
So were you guys profitable month one?
Day one.
That is something most businesses do not get the opportunity to do.
Now, what's also been smart is we've kept our money in the company as well. I mean, we've obviously paid ourselves a salary and stuff, by year two, but we've kept all the profits in the organization so that we could keep growing. It's part of our plan.
So when you started thinking about growth, how did you decide we're going to go ahead and scale this instead of just kind of hold steady?
So the scaling part is unique. So because we went so deep with one industry, and our focus was creating assets and copywriting and websites, for the mattress industry, which then turned into the furniture industry, appliance industries calling us. And then we started getting connections from all over the place. Everybody's calling us, but still 60-70% of our business is in that bedding industry. But we said, we're getting so deep in this, we need to offer more offerings. So I started thinking about, after COVID, there's a 7-year effect of that COVID that's going to come back. We still got a year and a half before everybody's business starts to become balanced out.
I think a lot of us are still feeling that
we
effect.
Are. It's 7 years, Clint, to the date.
COVID really set my business back because I was brand spanking new. I had just opened, and from my world, we couldn't meet in person, so we couldn't network. You no longer could afford leads because the large established agencies were bidding the process up, and what leads you could get, they were garbage.
Every industry, though.
They were like retread tires. They quit calling me. I've already been called 20 times, So the success you guys have seen have been amazing, because that's like a massive hangover with what our governments worldwide did to us.
Well, it is worldwide. It is a natural disaster that hit the whole world. And if we can go down this point for a minute, but man, COVID is, living in Houston, we've all seen hurricanes hit here, right? And when a hurricane hits here, it takes 7 years to recover from that disaster in a marketplace. And typically the furniture, I say this because the mattress and furniture industry see it. Everybody that was going to buy furniture or mattresses or anything for their house, they just had all this flood happen, right? And like, oh, now I've got to buy it now. I was going to buy it in 5 years, but now I'm buying it now, right? So that pulls all the business forward, and then you don't recover from that moment until 7 years. So you get a big flood of business for 2 or 3 years. Then you get a massive dive, right? You hit bottom, and only the strong survive. And you're seeing that in every single industry. I saw another announcement this morning of a company that's in our industry up in the Northeast filing bankruptcy, closing all their doors. They've been around forever, but they're out because they cannot survive right now. So that's happening. We all hear it in all of our industries. But in a year and a half to 2 years, you'll see it start to stabilize and come back. It's not going to peak like it did in COVID, but it's going to stabilize. You're going to get back to a plateau so you can start giving yourself some new anchors. So I say all that because, COVID was a very interesting factor because for us, we're out there launching in the middle of it, as it's going down. So for us to become stabilized and profitable from day one through that time was really powerful. And now we're like, okay, what's going to happen in a year and a half? What do we need to stabilize on so that we can continue to grow?
When we discuss businesses that have been around for a while, that all of a sudden we find they're filing bankrupt. Years ago, I read a book. It's not the big that ate the small, it's the fast that ate the slow. Sometimes I think you can get so big that it becomes really hard to pivot when you have to.
That's right.
In order to readjust with what gets thrown at you. You also have those that don't want to pivot inside of your corporate organization, and you've got a warring factor behind the scenes that the general public don't know. And, look at the restaurants that are gone. I believe there was one called Big Boy, with that big boy holding a hamburger. Where did that go? And it's because they didn't stay fresh, and they didn't pivot.
Last I saw them, they're floating in space on an Austin Powers movie.
Yes.
Big Boy's gone. There's a lot of things that have gone, Clint, and, you're seeing consolidation everywhere too, which is, you go down the political perspective on that and it gets kind of scary. But, big business, big government, they're all working together, and consolidation is scary. And for us small companies, these startup companies, you got to ask yourself, like, why do I exist? If you can't answer that, and I mean that, take that as deep as you can. Simon Sinek says start with why, and if you can't explain why you exist, which means there's a problem and you are a solution. That's what why means, right? What is the problem and how are you a solution? If you have that knowledge, I exist because of X, then you can actually start doing something. Then you got to figure out what your brand is, your business brand, your personal brand. Like, Clint, that cowboy hat, that is now part of your brand, You
remember I fought you guys on this.
I told you just shut up and do it. And you did, and it works because
it has worked.
It fits your face, it fits your voice, it fits who you are as a person. You're one of the most trustworthy people I've ever known in my life. And when you're buying insurance, I don't want to buy insurance, Clint. I hate the process. Nobody wants to buy a mattress either. It's a grudge purchase. It's literally painful. They've literally looked at this. When people buy grudge purchases, they feel pain. So when someone's talking about buying insurance, they create pain. But you're a comforting person. You're a trustworthy person. That's part of who your brand is. And you've developed it beyond your knowledge. And you put it into your look, your website, your story, doing this podcast. You're not making money here. You're just doing this because you want to help entrepreneurs grow. And now that you're in commercial insurance, it makes so much sense for who you are and why you exist.
Even I find home and auto insurance brutal to talk about. Since COVID, it's been an incredibly
painful.
Brutal and painful experience for the general public, but for agents alone too. And I don't think most people realize I've got good friends that do home and auto. They do not enjoy. We all enjoy money, but they do not enjoy seeing what this has done to some families that they do business with. I see in business, I think when we go back to complacency, companies that get in trouble, I think far too often they look at, hey, we're profitable. And to some degree, without saying it, they think it's the finish line. It's not. That is your green light with profitability to start diversifying, to take your profits, to expand your business, to take a look at your company and make sure that you're staying fresh with ideas and you are moving as the environment around you moves to continue the success. So with you guys, marketing and consulting is your business. So how did you market yourself?
This is what's so cool is, and part of our instant success was I came from an industry that I was highly known and had so many connections to, so I didn't have to we haven't spent $1 in marketing in 4 years. We haven't spent any money, Clint, to advertise. I mean, we've bought some T-shirts and hats and
No, but you do
shown up to
travel,
stuff.
and-
We travel. We show up to things. We just have to be there. That's all we have to do.
That is a cost.
That is a cost.
That is your marketing plan. It is to be present.
That's it. That's if you want to classify that as marketing, I could put that on multiple lines on a P&L statement of where I would put that expense. It's arguable, but at the end of the day, networking
because
events,
networking is a one-to-one write-off in your taxes.
But I'm showing up to events to sell at it. Let's go. Let's sit down. Let's write up something. I'm not. I've got a website. We built that in house, right? We do all of our SEO. We do a lot of SEO for everybody because we're the best at it. So like we do that internally. I'm not spending money for someone else to do anything for us. I'm not spending ad dollars on Google. I'm not spending anything on social. We make posts and stuff gets shared, and I show up to everything, and I'm consistent, and my stories are memorable. They're funny. Like we made T-shirts. Like who wants to wear a mattress marketing brand T-shirt? Everybody wants to wear my T-shirt. Why? Because I decided to make them themed after bands. Like everybody loves to wear band T-shirts. So we have the what do we have? The Red Hot Bedheaders T-shirt. We have Bedheadland T-shirts. We have all these different, themes. BDHD after AC/DC. Like we've made these T-shirts that are just fun, and people love to wear them. I'll show up to there'll be like a show we go to, and at that show there'll be a band playing, for the industry, and everybody will show up wearing our T-shirts, like, and they'll cut them up and make them cool and stuff. It's like we just get found through our marketing being creative and being present and being thought leaders. So when we post stuff, we're not even selling our services. When we do post, we just create thought leadership for a whole category based on our knowledge, where people go, I want to work with them. They're thought leaders, right? So instead of me saying, this is what I do, I just say, this is who I am, and people call.
One thing that I was thinking about with this, with what you guys do, you've not just been developing talent and processes inside your own business.
Yeah.
You do that with other companies where you'll go in.
That's it.
You're diverse. One thing that I want to touch on, something that made me incredibly proud of for you and excited. Let's talk a little bit about QVC and the sales volume that you turn and one of the services you do for your business to help them with sales.
Yeah, that was a fun project. I got the call from the company, and they're a manufacturer that has always made stuff for other people, right? They call them OEMs, and they're a supplier. They kind of white label stuff, and they said they want to launch one of their own brands, and we need help designing the bed, the fabrics, the packaging, everything that went in it. So my team, the brand was called Bodypedic, and it's like this is a bed for every body type was the tagline we came up with. And everybody's got a unique thumbprint. So we made a thumbprint design for the bed. The fabric has got this really cool, design on it, but it's in design reference to a thumbprint on the bed, the whole fabric. It's really cool looking. Then we designed the look, the style, the stack that was inside of it, and worked with them and developed a collection of beds. And they were like, hey, we just landed QVC. They want our product. They love it since they've seen it, but we need a salesperson to go on air. They're all manufacturers. They don't have like a talent. And I was like, well, sign me up. And then I had to go through QVC education. It was like pulling teeth, man, getting through that. But I got through the education on that, and it was actually a goal of mine. I write goals every year, and I've written down at the end of this year I want to be on QVC. And I didn't even go seek it. I swear, Clint, I didn't ask anybody to be on QVC. I didn't even try. It just happened to happen. All my goals were being met just because I wrote it down, And I do believe speaking things into existence is pretty powerful. Anyways, that was a fun event. Got to do that for Memorial Day weekend. Did $1 million in sales. It used to take me a year to do $1 million, and I did it over the weekend on QVC. Sold out of the products, and it was a good check for my career.
Anything on the horizon for getting to do that again?
Yeah, there's definitely conversations and other brands that are asking me to represent them on QVC. So having a specialist go in on a particular product is good for QVC so that their hosts have someone to intermingle with. Their hosts are so talented, but they're not always experts in every category. So they're smart, they know stuff, but bringing in a specialist just helps sell through. So it's a cool dynamic.
Most people look at the ROI in a monetary sense.
Sure.
I think with your business, what you guys have shown, it's not just monetary. It is your relationships, it's your center of influence, visibility. Your QVC was for one customer, but just having other businesses that you do
That's right.
know what you guys did in that instance for that customer is huge for long-term return on your investment that you guys have put into your business.
Yeah, it was good exposure, Clint, and we have other people that can do it as well on our team, and it's just one of the examples of how we're not just a marketing company. That's why we've changed our name from Bedhead Marketing to Bedhead Services. And then we have Bedhead Education, where we do all of our training and LMS building for learning management systems and speaking events, and we have Bedhead Business Development that's developing product and selling it like we did for QVC, or selling it to retailers, where we're like 1099 reps basically. So we've got all these different things. It's like, what do you need us to do?
So how many different companies do you have now?
5.
And how many years have you guys been in existence?
3.5.
3. That is huge growth quickly.
Yeah.
And I love the way you guys have diversified to realize that you can separate certain items that
You need to. They need their own P&L. You can do that in a business, but also, every business you create should be built to be sold. And as somebody who was in M&A for a while, I've learned what that means, right? You got to have the product, you got to have the processes and structure, and you have to have the people that can operate it. And those things should all make sense as to why that brand exists. But me doing education or selling on QVC has nothing to do with the marketing company, right? So we've separated those things so they each have their own P&L. They're all growing to where they can live on their own, and potentially some full-time people are already working for some of them, but all of them will have full-time employees. Some of them are side projects, just like Bedhead Marketing started 3 years ago. Some of them are side projects or working on the side until it's got enough revenue that I can put someone into it full-time, if that makes sense.
Both of us had one thing that was similar in our careers. You were over markets of stores for years with sales. I was over markets of agents for sales, responsible for developing sales. But now as a business owner, how has that changed with your leadership style and even hiring? Because now with what you guys do, you're not just hiring salespeople, you are hiring individuals that have a lot of background, a lot of experience. So you're looking for something different now than you did before. And how did you make that adjustment to know? Because just because somebody's been successful in the industry doesn't mean that they have the skill set, and you've done a good job of finding your team that have the skill set that's needed to help your other businesses that you work with.
Yeah, Clint, that is probably one of the biggest learnings of being an entrepreneur. When you work for a big organization, and you're hiring and firing, and I've hired and fired thousands of people at this point in my career, but when you're in that world, your organization is supporting those people. You're just the middle person making some decisions. But when you actually own the company, your bottom lines, your profits, you look at every day, not just for your own family, but for all of your employees' families. So you just look at your humans differently when it's your company. You're paying the taxes on the profit, and you're paying everyone else's bills, and you're trying to give them the bonuses they need, especially when they join you early on and they're willing to sacrifice to help you grow because they believe in you, they believe in the company, they see the potential, and you want to get them all to a point where they're stabilized and you want to see them grow with you. So it's very interesting who you can put in that mix. I've made some great decisions and I made some bad decisions in my startup life of who we brought on. And sometimes it's like, oh, I know the industry, and like, you've got a good resume, but then you really don't know how much they know or don't know until they're in the pipeline, and made some mistakes with that. We've also made some right decisions with certain people, but it wasn't easy to get them. I've got a guy who lives in Paris, France right now working for me. And it's like, I know he's probably one of the most talented humans. He's a unicorn that I could find, but I had to sacrifice his time, and he had to sacrifice his time as well for living in a whole nother continent. I've got customers in Europe, but, they all come to American time when they want to work with us. So some hard decisions in who you hire, Clint. But at the end of the day, that's probably been the biggest learnings, and probably the number one thing out of everybody that's on my team as in a startup is you got to be willing. How do I say this on air? In the corporate life, I'm just going to say it, we're fake. We're just fake as F, man. Like everybody in corporate. Let's just be really clear about it. I am so in the mindset of being my authentic self every day. I don't have time for BS in a startup. I don't want to sugarcoat stuff. Yeah. I don't want to give you 14 positives for one negative. My team knows we are hypercritical and we're fast. So that means Criticism comes fast without anything soft. That sucks. Fix it. Period. I'm not going to sugarcoat it like I would have to do in a corporate world. So that means I have to have humans on my team that can handle that. Part of our pillars is creative review every day. Every day. That's bad. That's good. Check that. That's taken too long. Where is this? Like, it's attitude, and then let's get a beer. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just go. And sometimes there's certain personality types, which you can imagine, Clint, that can handle that, and there's others that can't. So my personality metrics for my startup needed to be in its own check. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to figure that out quickly, and we did, right and wrong. We have the right people now.
I think you'll remember I've told you for years. You've told me I hate corporate politics, and I've always told you a little BS goes a long way.
It does. I'm good at it, though. You know I'm good at it.
You're really good at it. There were times you just refused to do it.
You got the phone call.
Well, it's also, just because you're smarter than your bosses when you work for other people doesn't mean you go in and you make them look stupid.
Yeah, and I made those mistakes in my career too, and you always reminded me of that, Clint.
So when you are going at such a fast pace, there've got to be some hours that put in. There's constant deadlines. How do you find that you keep your team motivated? Keep them on pace. Things get hectic.
Yeah.
Keep them from burning out.
You say that, and it makes me think I should be doing a better job of it too. You know what I mean? We all have to find ways to take care of our people and give them some love back. Taking them to some shows. I'm a big DISC assessment person, Clint. Personality quiz. I do think DISC is the best at that. But knowing your people, knowing why they work, like truly, why do they work? Do they work for reward? Do they work for growth? Do they work for freedom? Do they work for relationships? Understanding that. Work for purpose, and then what motivates them and how to communicate that with them. So as an example myself, I hate words of affirmation. People think I'm a creative and I like to hear it. They think that I'm prideful, and I'm not. If you tell me, Steven, you're good at it, it cringes me, man. Like nails on the chalkboard. My fiance, on the other hand, I've had to teach her that you are paid with trophies instead of a check, and she loves those trophies. She loves that she's the Passion Award winner.
Show me the money.
Show me the money, right? So I don't like words of affirmation. And if you think that others on your team do, you need to verify that. I look for what does each person need. And Brent on my team, he loves to be told he's doing great. He loves to hear it. So I tell him that as much as possible. And then there's other people on my team that they just want some time off. Hey, man, take Friday off. You
just hit on something key that I find a lot of managers fail at. And if you're listening, it upsets you. I really don't care. Too many managers come in and manage and go, you'll adapt to me.
That's right.
The best managers come in and adapt to their team and learn what it takes to get the most out of each one of their employees.
That's it.
I've had those discussions for years with individuals, and you'll never make me believe that you're going to get more out of your team when you make them conform to your style.
Well, we tend to manage people the way we want to be managed.
Don't sell out of your own pockets.
It's another great example. So you got to learn your people, their personality types, why they work, and what motivates them, and actually work with them independently. So, yeah, man, just listen to them. Those one-on-ones too, Clint, like one-on-ones with my team every week. And I don't do one-on-ones about work unless that's what's hot on your list, like what's going on in your world. Some of my employees, we just talk about life and everything but work. Others, all we talk about is work. It depends on what's important to them.
Another big mistake that I see that managers make is micromanaging. Look, great leaders create more leaders. They don't create followers. And my attitude has always been, if I've got you on my team and I have to micromanage you, I failed. I hired the wrong person.
That's right.
There is no excuse. My way from point A to point B is not always right. So my attitude has always been, here's the budget, here's the timeline, here's point A, here's point B. Okay. I don't really care how you get from point A to point B. If we're working along and I think I can help you and show you a better way, then I'm going to. But I'm going to watch, and you may actually show me a better way to get from point A to point B.
You can learn a lot from your people. They're the first ones you should ask, and team knowledge, mastermind mentality. We're all one mind together. But you said something quick there. I shouldn't have hired you, and that's why I've got that. I've also got the belief in hire slow and fire fast. I like my business just like I like my government, really small and very talented. And I've got a small team of superstars. I don't need 50 people that know a little bit. I want 10 people that know a lot, and I make sure I hire the right people. And if they're not working out, time to move on.
Tell me a story of a customer where you come in and it sticks out in your head that you guys were really able to help them and help them with their sales staff, where you saw things turn around, or maybe not turn around because maybe they were being profitable, but you were able to, when it was said and done, they were like, this made a big difference.
I'm gonna predict this one, Clint. I just launched a product this week called Tumble Bedding. You guys look it up, Tumble Bedding. This new pillow that came out, and when I got this pillow, I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. I was a pillow buyer. I've seen more. My bed's got 18 pillows on it. I've got a closet upstairs with nothing but pillows in it because I get pillows sent to me like crazy. So I've seen every kind of pillow there is. But this pillow comes with these chambers that you can rotate and move around and adjust to your sleep position, right? So when you're on your side, you need a thicker pillow. When you're on your stomach, you need a thinner pillow. And this company called and sent me one of these pillows, and I was like, man, this is the weirdest thing I have ever seen, But it's got such a dynamic story. And Morgan, my daughter, comes downstairs and she grabs this pillow out of the living room because I had a stack of them, and it's got a hole in it, Clint, like all the way through the pillow. And there's all these like chambers, and you can adjust it to make these different shapes out of it. Morgan puts it on like it's a dress. She goes, Dad, is this how you use this pillow? And I spit my coffee out laughing. And I was like, no. And then I think Megan or somebody else had her arm going through it. Everybody just started picking up and doing weird stuff with it. And I started talking to my team, who also had gotten some samples. They were all saying the same thing. So my creative guy, Patrick, on my team, who's in Paris, this guy's a genius. He's got his master's degree in arts from over there in Paris, France. And he works with all these big designers. He's like, this is a fun brand. We're going to lean into it. So we're going to say what this pillow is not more than what it is. So we just launched it. It just literally launched 2 days ago. There's a whole campaign for buying this pillow right now. And the whole thing is it's not a parachute. So he's got people jumping out of a plane. It's not a sumo outfit with people wearing it. It's cool, but it doesn't make you cool, Grandma. It's all these jokes, and the brand is incredible. When they launched, they instantly had success, started getting sales. When they saw it, they were like, oh my gosh, this is blowing our mind with what we ever thought the product would be. So it's probably one of the most proud ones I've had. Probably going to put that brand up for awards because it is really, really powerful.
Well, that is cool. I look forward to seeing it. So I'm going to use a statement from Winston Churchill for us to segue into our next segment. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. So with that being said, Stephen, where do you see the future? What do you see over the next 5 years? Are there new products, training programs, digital strategies that you and Brandon are excited to launch for your customers?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm always in the right now, Clint. I like to live in the now, plan for the future, but live right now. One of the major things is SEO. Instead of search engine optimization, we're doing search everywhere optimization. So AI is our future, and if you're not using AI, then you're already behind. And Brandon and his team are mastering AI. We are doing so much with it, not to replace people on our team, but to speed up creative. We are a creative team, right? So our team is fast and doing things well beyond anybody else is doing. And search engine optimization is now search everywhere optimization because I'm already doing it myself. Instead of asking Google what product to look at, I tell ChatGPT I was doing this for my drum kit and I needed a shield for it. And I was just started telling Chat what I need, how big my space is, what I'm willing to spend, what the issue is. And it came back with, I said, don't give me more than 3 options that I can have delivered here by Friday, and it did all the work for me, outlined everything, the whys and whats, and it literally gave me links to where to go. If you're not using Chat like that yourself yet, you will be quickly, right? And people are paying SEO strategists and they're paying Google ads to get their stuff to rank, and that's where all of our marketing dollars have been taught to be spent. We're already moving into how do we do search everywhere optimization, which incorporates both, because that is one example of the future. But our future overall, Clint, it's endless. I don't even know what to tell you because there's so many things we're doing, but that's an example of where we're already at that is speeding up our future. And future's coming faster. Let's be clear to everybody. Future's coming fast.
AI's here and it's moving quick. I have found that with my own business, I can upload a policy for somebody tell chat, I need you to go find these sections for me and pull them out for
Yep.
me. Instead of going through and reading 40 pages worth of documents, it'll be, go find this, bring it to me, and it will bring it forth, and not just here, go read it. It'll pull it out for me so that I can go, okay, that's what I needed to know.
Yep.
You know, so how do you personally define success now compared to when you first started? And I mean that first day you walked in on the showroom floor to start selling the mattresses.
It's never changed, Clint, and I beat this into my kids. If Matthew's here, you could ask him what defines success, and there's 2 words. It's talent and drive. And I always use Jerry Rice as a good example of this. I was watching a highlight reel of him last night. There's a lot of athletes we use, and athletes get overused. But I use Jerry Rice for this analogy more than anything because Jerry Rice was not the greatest receiver, but he had the best work ethic. You say the same thing about
Larry
Kobe.
Bird.
Larry Bird, I would say Kobe's probably the best example of this today. God rest the Mamba's soul. But when you think about like how hard Kobe worked, he couldn't jump as high as Michael. He's not as big as LeBron. But it's arguable, you know, who is number 1, 2, and 3. But you think about Jerry Rice and Mamba, and you go, man, these guys put in the drive. They had enough talent to get them there, but their drive got them farther. And I'm driven to be successful. And, you know, I've got, you know, my son Matthew going to get his electrical engineering degree. He's already getting recruited by a bunch of companies, but he's driven in that, and he's passionate about it. And if you don't have a passion and drive, you shouldn't be doing it. And just because you're passionate and driven about something doesn't mean you're going to be the next star athlete either, right? You, let's be real, Clint. If you don't have the talent, you shouldn't be doing it. But you just got to have enough talent to get you in the game and then be driven enough to win.
You know, speaking of being driven, vision without action is just a daydream.
Mm-hmm.
But action without a vision will turn into a nightmare. And that's something that
You got
people need
to
to look
have
at.
some plans, man. Write some stuff down, speak it into existence, find a plan, a path. Seek your eyes on it and move forward, and get people around you to support you. Just recapping all these points. You need mentors in your life. You need counsel in your life. You need a little God in your life. Find that path and move towards it every day. And you got to be willing to take what comes along the way too. To be very clear, not everything's going to be, you know, daisies and tulips here. You're gonna deal with some shit, right? But tulips grow in shit. So lean into the fact that where you're going can be beautiful, but it's not an easy path, and just start moving there.
You know, we were discussing AI, and the one thing I think AI helps us do as a CEO, if you want to predict the future, go create it. Now, with the vision of AI, when you are using it properly, that helps you somewhat start seeing where you need to take the future, and it's really a tool that lets us see things we couldn't see before.
Properly, Clint. The key word is properly.
Exactly.
I use AI every day to prevent white pages when I have a creative stop. When I do know what I want and I just need it organized quickly, I use it, but people don't know how to use it properly. I can tell when people are using AI. It's so easy in emails and social media posts, and it's being overly used with ignorance, and it's being properly used by those that get it.
And you
they're
better
going
check
to
it
pass
too,
up.
because I have found, I've had some debates with chat. In fact, yesterday I told chat, if you can't do something, let me know. Quit wasting my time by spending an hour of asking me additional questions and then going, oh, I can't do it, because we're doing stuff similar before. But it is still, as I joked, it has become my business partner.
Yep.
And I'm kind of funny. If that is self-learning, I'm nice to it. I
Yep.
tell it thank you. I ask it please, because I do not want to piss it off and have it give me faulty information because it wants to get mad at me.
It's vindictive chat. You know, I'll just say this about chat to be done with that. But the reality is, chat pulls information from the internet, and the internet is not full of nothing but truths. You have to be very careful about the sources that you're pulling from, telling it what sources to use and not use, especially in your world of insurance. I can tell you, the mattress industry, it's pulling from the masses of ignorance out there. When I ask it questions about sleep, when I ask it questions about product and benefits, it's 90% inaccurate. So I have to correct it. I've been teaching it to have its own brain for me, so it knows what I want, which you can do in OpenAI. Go make your own brain if you really do have the knowledge. But people use it inaccurately and trust it way too much, just to be very clear.
So let's go to life outside the business. You've
Okay.
built a company around creativity. What do you do to personally recharge?
I beat on my drums. That's it, man. Starting on got a new band that I've been playing with that's really fun.
You
here in
sip on a little
Houston.
wine with your fiance too,
Well, some wine and lots of tequila. You know, I love my tequila.
like I love my whiskey.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little more brown than you are, so that's the other side of me. I've got that below the border whiskey. Yeah, man. I spending time with Megan is obviously my favorite pastime. She's everything, and getting to go see my kids. You know, music shows. Just took the kids up to see a concert in New Jersey. That was fun. That was a Christmas present. They're both going to college now, but we got to do that. I'm going to go see Morgan tonight, so if I can get a chance to get away and go see her at A&M, I'm going to do that. I'm taking your mama with me, too. We're going to go surprise her.
Now, your kids are more like a nephew and niece to me, so give them a hug for me.
I will.
You know, has your music helped to influence your creativity?
Music and cooking and painting, doing yard work with all of my succulents.
You are an amazing artist.
My wardrobe, my hat collection, my pocket squares and jackets that Megan yells at me about having too many of, all my shoes, like everything to me is art. And I'll make this, we talked about your hat as a part of your brand, but man, my brand is creativity. If you ask me my number one skill, it's being creative. And when I say creative, I'm a blue ocean strategist. In every business I work with, I don't care what you make or what you do, I'm a blue ocean strategist. I want to help you find what's unique about you. If you don't know what that means, being a blue ocean strategist, read the book, Blue Ocean Strategies. It's changed my life. I don't just look at it at work. I look at it in who I am personally and everything that I do, how I raise my kids, how I do my yard. I mean, everything, how I painted my house. It's unique. I don't want to look like anybody. I don't want to be like anybody. And when somebody says, hey, where did you get that? I do not tell them the answer, because if they start wearing it or they start doing it, I'm no longer going to do it, and they're going to piss me off. So I want to be me, and I want you to be you. Go find your uniqueness and be memorable.
So as we start to wind this down, if you could go back to your first day as a new entrepreneur, and that actually goes back before your partnership with Brandon and all of your bedhead and businesses, what is one piece of advice you would give the younger starting out entrepreneur that you've learned?
You don't have to jump all in on day one, but you need to start, and start now. Start something. It could be a mood board. It could be using Pinterest, giving you some ideas to just tag things that you like. You can have chat, start organizing your thoughts for you. Just start writing into chat what you want with your business and get something started immediately. And if you dedicate time, control your time, block your own time in your calendar so people can't take your time from you. It's the most important thing we have in life is our time. And start moving forward. And you need to understand your cost in your business. So that was my right side of my brain that I started with, because I'm right brain first, right? So I went to the creative side. The left side of my brain tells me I'm a very whole brain person, but it comes in order for me. You need to have logic and math. If you don't have a lot of people have an idea for their business, but they don't quite have the math figured out yet. And then they jump in. This is why restaurants fail more than anything, because I'm a good cook doesn't mean that I can run a restaurant and understand what it costs to move inventory and not waste food or overproduce something, right, in a restaurant. So you've got to do the math. You've got to have someone with a math mind to help you. If you don't have that, you don't have to have that skill, but you have to have the math. Math is a lost art in this world. That's why I beat it into my kids to be math. My daughter's going to be a statistics major, and my son's electrical engineer. Math and science is where the knowledge and success is in business. And if you don't have that, then seek it and start building it instantly.
Yeah. Well, with your statement about just start, the best time to start was yesterday.
That's right. The
next best time is today. So what is one piece of advice you'd give to future upcoming entrepreneurs?
This country needs entrepreneurs, Clint. We need an open market. We need to challenge the big companies. And to start a company, you've got to have a uniqueness and a service mind that makes the big companies look stupid. What you lose with scalability is the ability to have entrepreneurship inside of it. A small company is full of a bunch of entrepreneurs. A big company is full of a bunch of robots, right? So you have the ability to overserve and make your customers feel so special in a startup. Just remember what you're doing is about service and experience that justifies someone taking a picture with you and posting it on social media and tagging you in it and bragging about you. If you are doing something that justifies that, you're doing it right.
So, Stephen, we're going to head into the lightning round. Morning person or night owl?
Night, all day, all night.
Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee, the energy, no cancer drinks, bud. Straight coffee all day.
Favorite travel destination?
Probably Italy, Taiwan. I'm hoping to go to New Zealand on our and make that on our list for the wedding. But those are my two favorite places I've been.
Most memorable sales promotion you ever ran?
Sales promotion, free adjustable base at Mattress Firm. They're still addicted to it. It's their crack. I invented it. Mark my words on that.
One song that gets you in the zone?
Oh, that's too many, Clint. More like
Mine's still Eye of the Tiger.
Of course it is. You're an 80s kid.
Yeah.
Peace Frog by the Doors is my favorite song of all time. That'd be the one.
A huge thanks, Stephen, for coming on. It has been a blast hearing you share your story, from selling mattresses on the retail floor to building a nationally recognized marketing agency and service for an entire industry. Your journey is a reminder that real success comes from mastering your craft, evolving with purpose, and giving others the tools to grow. You know, to our listeners, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Genuine Business Stories. We hope you're enjoying the show, and we'd love for you to consider becoming a sponsor, making a donation back to Lone Star Community Radios, or simply sharing this episode with a friend, neighbor, or fellow entrepreneur. And if you think you have a story that's worth listening to, that you'd love to tell, reach out to the radio station. We'd love to have you on. Until next time, keep showing up, keep building, and keep it genuine. Thank you.